Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Below the Prem podcast. The last weekend before the international break, a wild weekend where we saw a top two clash. Two managers leave, one sacked, one got up and quit on his team, three come behind wins, and many, many good football matches. Alex, it was a great weekend. Coventry had a good win. I know you were at the game. I was at home watching. Great times, great times. Let's talk about it today. We're going to break down everything that happened on Saturday in the EFL Championship, a crazy game day. And, we've got 2 weeks of no football now, so we do just want to reach out to the viewers and ask, what do you guys want to see us talk about? If you could drop it down in the comments, that would be absolutely amazing. We love engaging with you guys. We're really going to try to push, being active on this account more. So keep an eye out for videos from us this international break. Again, suggestions are always appreciated. Feedback is always appreciated. As always, please subscribe. Please please get involved down below. Alex has a little statistic he wants to share with you
Well,
before
yeah,
we get stuck in.
yeah. Just one statistic. We talk about viewers, and you guys have engaged really, really well. We've been getting some decent views on the podcast that we've only had 5 episodes of, but over 77% of our viewers of the last podcast were not subscribed. So please do subscribe. That shows to me and to Jonah that you guys are interested in the podcast. So please do, like I say, subscribe to the channel, and it obviously keeps you up to date as well with all of our videos when they come out.
Yes, yes, exactly. You heard the man. Thanks a lot for the viewership. Thanks a lot for the support. Let's get right into it. I'm excited to talk about this weekend, man. A lot went on. Let's start on Friday. Obviously, first game of the week, Watford versus Bristol City. So that game ended in a 1-1 draw. My thoughts on the game, I had it on. I was where was I? I was headed to the gym and then I was headed to the mall. Alex, I'll actually mention it real quick. I had an absolute stinker this weekend and it'll be out on my YouTube channel later today. Picked up a vlogging camera for way too much money. Take it home, turn it on, put the SD card in. I take one video of myself, and it was one of those ones that has a gimbal on it where it follows you, so it's like super super complex. Take one video, try to take another one. Camera's broken. So I was in a little bit of a frustrated mood for this game, but yeah, you'll
Wait,
hear more
after
about
after
that.
just one time trying to use it, I'm just gonna pull this out here, the usual tripod that I use. So this is, I mean, this is at least 5, 6 years old. I think I got this around the time we were in League One. I think we had like Bradford at home, Portsmouth away. Your Coventry fans will know that Geordie Hiwula 2-1 loss. This is how old this GGI kind of tripod gimbal thing is. The reason I'm not using it, and you're stacked up on a load of Oasis, Cortina's, Enemy, Verb, even a couple of Kasabian CDs, is because I can't find the magnet. And this is now the third podcast out of the, what, six that we've done, where there's been an issue with this. So I think me and you, Jonah, just have an issue with gimbals, tripods, the lot. Um, but yeah, I mean, just to talk about the start of the game week, and I mean, Watford versus Bristol City Friday night, you mustn't have been in the best of moods. I don't think either team's fan base would come away truly frustrated. I think Watford really need to start turning draws into wins, really, because they're a side that, like we say, on the eye look really, really good. Got a fantastic result against Boro a couple of weeks ago. And as for Bristol City, it's a fantastic result. They've had a couple of really tough games where they've just not got the right result. A 5-1 hammering against Stoke City, and then travelling to Blackburn and not getting anything was probably really frustrating as well. So good to see them at least get a point on the board before the international break. I think Watford are a side that I'd expect a little bit more from this upcoming season. As for Bristol City, I know they were in the playoffs last year, but I don't still think they're going to replicate that. A mid-table clash really here on paper. Watford now up to 15th, Bristol City outside the playoffs in 8th, but after recent results, I think they're looking less and less like a playoff contender. I mean, we're now nearly a third way into the season, I believe, after 15 games. So
Yep.
we're there or thereabouts. So I think now's the time we're really going to be able to tell who's in a good enough position, who our contenders are for relegation promotion. And, I know we'll go on to the relegated teams. There's, I mean, two of the bottom three that at the start of the season, a lot of people predicted to be in the playoffs. I know we speak about this every single week, but things just don't seem to be changing for them sides. As for Watford, they've already had a manager sacking this season. they're just not turning draws into wins. And I feel like when they do, there'll be a massive change at Vicarage Road.
Yeah, for sure. I will say I think Watford should have won this game. They were pressing very heavily in the second half. Unable to get that goal. They put themselves in a lot of really, really dangerous positions. They just couldn't get over the line. Probably a testament to Bristol City, despite the injuries that they've had. They have a stout defense. I will say the goal that Scott Twine scored was from a free kick. Selvik, the Watford keeper, had an absolute stinker. Just tucked it over the wall. It was about maybe waist high, and he just could not get behind it and save it. It was a wet game. There was a lot of mistakes made. Imran Lauza again, instead of scoring this time, he just decides to play a 60-yard through ball to Bola, who tucks it away behind the keeper. So Watford, I would say, probably a little less happy out of the two. At home, chance to make a statement going in. Bristol City streaking. They salvaged what they could. They got to be happy to get a point here.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, like I say, we both predicted Watford to win this game. We've seen how good they are. Like I say, they just need to turn draws into wins. Bristol City, despite being eighth in the table, I think it's a really, really good point for them after coming off back-to-back losses. Obviously, now the international break, you don't know how much is going to change over the 2 weeks. They could bring some momentum into the game. And like you say, even if Watford were the better team, it's a fantastic point for Bristol City. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. If you're a Watford fan, Bristol City fan, where you kind of expect to be. I think we'll go over the next few weeks, especially them sides that will be in contention for playoffs. And Bristol City for me are one that I feel like just aren't at the moment, despite being in the playoffs last year, despite having an okay start to the season. I just don't think they're that good enough. Should we move on to Saturday? Because Saturday was, I mean, exciting. Away from the Coventry game, which obviously we both watched, some really, really interesting results. Um, Blackburn won Derby 2 to start off the early kickoffs. And I mean, Derby are in fantastic form. I got this one right as well, by the way. Derby fans who seem to think I hate Derby. Um, yeah, Blackburn Rovers, who've been okay as of late, losing at home, a fantastic win for Derby. And do I also mention that a certain Carlton Morris scored in this game?
He is on an absolute tear. He is looking like a man possessed. He's not just playing striker, he's playing right wing, left wing. He's dropping into cam. He's just playing with so much confidence right now. Two-headed goals scored in 2 games for Carlton Morris. Two-headed goals in this game. The second one was the big man, American Patrick Adjumang. Nice little back post cross. Just no contest for the defender. Just towers over him, just bangs it in near post. So good goal there. They scored some good goals this game. Really, you can't knock Blackburn in this game. They fight hard. Ohashi has been really good this season. He scored a penalty for them. But Derby County, the best team points wise, form wise in the last 5 games, only beating Coventry by 1 win. 5 out of 5 for them. What a turnaround. Testament to the team finally getting healthy, finally figuring out that front three. Adjumang, Morris, Brereton Diaz, really good attack. Definitely a scary team to go up against. You could probably argue international break is coming at the wrong time for them. I think they would want to keep playing football, the form that they're in. So, things are really looking up for them. Obviously, we were just talking about them being severely, severely underperforming, but now they sit in 10th, just behind Charlton, Bristol City, Ipswich for that last playoff spot. And, you shouted it last week. I'll shout it now. They're definitely a team that could be one of those fringe playoff contenders.
100%. And just another thing as well. I mean, this is a massive shock. The teams that are doing well, the likes of Charlton, Derby, Preston, even Stoke, really, to an extent, are massive, massive overachievers. And I'll put Hull in there as well, because I know a friend of yours, a Hull fan, he won't be happy if I don't mention them overachieving. But I just think for me, Derby County at the moment, like you say, top of the form chart, are just a completely different side to the one that we saw early on in the season, who were conceding a lot of goals, really struggling. And yeah, they did start the season off with some very, very tough games. But I mean, this is a revived Derby County side under John Eustace. And to speak about their upcoming games as well, because I like to look at the games they've got coming up. They've got Watford, who, like I mentioned 5 minutes ago, are a really good side, but they're not kind of replicating that in their results. And this is a game which is going to be massive for Derby. An away trip to Swansea, who, I mean, again, another manager who seems to be on borrowed time, but we'll get onto that later on. And then Middlesbrough, who, I mean, they've got no manager at this point, it feels like. Adi Vivash taking charge of their game on the weekend. So not a bad run of fixtures. And I mean, if they can replicate that, going into this kind of next big run of games after the international break. Who knows what the future could be this season for Derby County? A fantastic result, kind of wrapped up in the first half. Obviously, Blackburn get a goal in the second half, but really, really good for the Rams. And a side that I don't think anyone in their right mind would have predicted to be in and around the playoffs. So, yeah, big up to Derby at the moment.
Yeah, good stuff. So we'll move on now. So one of the three comeback wins this week was Hull City with three over Portsmouth, 2 goals. Portsmouth keep dropping down and down the table, and Hull City keep getting it done. Obviously, Joe Gelhard scores again. Beautiful assists from our boy Charlie Hughes. Little quarterback pass similar to the Imran Lauza assist from, their side of the pitch. Really good finish by him. That was the last goal. That was the one that gave them the lead. But Portsmouth go ahead early, and Hull City were just, banging on the door, knocking on the door over and over again. It kind of always felt like they were going to win this game. They are a fun team to watch because anytime you go in, you sort of can just know that there's going to be goals conceded and goals scored. Definitely a good time to be a Hull City fan. Lots of uncertainty in the summer, with ownership and managerial switches and potential transfer embargoes. But they consistently continue to keep getting it done. They're in fifth place with 25 points. Really good to see. Devlin for Portsmouth had 2 goals, little right mid, right wing back action. One was a deflection, but one was also a very nice headed goal, assisted by Josh Murphy. Don't want to mix up the brothers.
I mean, just to quickly comment on Hull, because they're having a resurgence this season. And I mean, Hull are just a really strange club that either in this position where they're pushing for playoffs or relegation. They're never ever a mid-table outfit. I remember a couple of seasons ago, we played Hull around April time and we just missed out on the playoffs, but that was seen as a massive 6-pointer. Last season, they just stay up. I mean, I'll go on to Portsmouth in a minute, but for it to be 2-2 at half time shows real character in both sides that it took until with just 11 minutes to go for Hull to find the back of the net. But things are looking up at Hull at the moment. I mean, a great crowd yesterday as well. We don't usually speak about attendances, but 23,205 at Hull is crazy. I've been to that ground when it's been around half of that at times. So it just shows the morale of not just the squad, but the fan base there at the moment. And even for a half 12 kickoff as well. To speak about Portsmouth, though, and John Mousinho, I mean, it is starting to look worrying. They're a side that I think a lot of people, like myself, would have given them the benefit of the doubt, but they're only really staying out of the relegation zone because of how poor the teams below them have done. Just 1 point in the past 5 games. I think this is not looking too promising for John Mousinho's side. I don't know what the kind of next actions would be because, we saw Portsmouth start last season quite poorly, but I felt like at this point they'd picked it up. They got some really tough results early on in the season. I'll never forget that I think it was 5 or 6-1 loss against Stoke. And that was seen as kind of a relegation 6-pointer. But I just think since that Coventry game, where obviously we both watched it, and that last 5 minutes, Portsmouth were really breathing down our neck. It could have been a 2-2 draw in the end. And they're going into that game unbeaten in three. They picked up a point against Leicester and Watford, two pretty decent sides. They beat Middlesbrough. Just yeah, a really interesting one, Portsmouth at the moment, because it feels like since mid-October they haven't been good enough at all. And I mean, again, we've got to look at our view and what a Portsmouth fan's view would be. Would sacking John Mousinho be the right answer? It's hard to call because he's such a good manager. He's been there for quite a while. He got them promoted to this division, kept them up last season. But at what point do you turn around and say a change needs to be made? And I know it's always the manager whose head could have gone, because I'm sure there was probably an early point in the season where Derby County fans were saying, maybe John Eustace isn't the right man. I actually feel like I even saw posts online saying John Eustace should be sacked after this game if we've not won. And well, they're on a beat and run now of what, like 5 or 6 games, Derby. I
Yeah.
can't even remember the last time they lost. So, I think it's a tough run of games they've got coming up. They've got to play the likes of Millwall and Bristol City, Charlton. but they've got opportunities to pick up points as well. They've got to play the likes of Sheffield United, Swansea, who aren't doing too well, and Blackburn, who can blow hot and cold. I think Portsmouth and Fratton Park, that cauldron of noise, that atmosphere is going to be what gets them through. And if I say John Mousinho, well, John Mousinho, yeah, if he is to stay at Fratton Park, I think that's going to be a big benefactor in that. But yeah, not great for Portsmouth at the moment, but a great result for Hull City nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you summed it up good there. I think we're good to move on. So next result, a top six clash: Millwall versus Preston North End. Preston without their newly suspended striker, 1-1 draw. Thoughts on the game? I was able to catch a decent chunk of this. The keepers had an absolute stinker in this game. Two pretty, two pretty poor movements by the keepers here. Ivanovic was able to get on the goal. Sorry if you hear my cat, by the way.
Is that
Um,
the fat cat?
that is the
Is that
fat
who?
cat. He was the star of my watch along yesterday because basically, to sum it up, when my girlfriend's sleeping, I don't want to let him in the room because then he'll, make biscuits on her. If you have a cat, you'll know what that means, and he'll wake her up. So I gotta lock him out. But then he does that. So it's a double-edged sword. But whatever. Millwall won. Preston North End won. What are your thoughts on the game, Alex? I'll let you
I think
take
it's a
over.
fair result, really. I mean, Millwall coming off a loss in midweek would have probably settled for a draw. They usually do get a good result against Preston. I thought this would be a 3-2. Millwall kind of Alex Neil recovery at least from a poor result. It doesn't seem to be that way. But I think it's a fair result. Two teams in the top six. I don't think there's many people who would have gone into that game saying, "Oh, I'd take a draw." So yeah, there's not too much to really comment on. To kind of focus on Millwall, because I think they're a side who blow hot and cold more than anyone. Like, they've been battered 4-0 twice this season, yet can beat the likes of Stoke, can beat the likes of Leicester. Um, Winless in three though is a little bit concerning. So they're probably a side that will benefit from the international break. Still in the playoffs, still in sixth position, with 7 wins at this point, and Preston as well, also with 7 wins. So two sides that are in a decent position. If I was a Millwall fan at this point, I know they've got a couple of injuries. I know Ivanovic hasn't really been finding the back of the net as much as he was last season. Um, I think they're probably going to benefit from an international break. I know I mentioned him not finding nets like it was last season. He did score yesterday, but he's not been in that top form that Millwall fans would have expected him to be in. From the Millwall fans that I've spoken to and Preston fans' reaction as well, this seems like a pretty dull game at the Den. So yeah, I don't think there's too much to really speak about. I think it's a good point for either side, both remaining in the playoffs.
Yeah, pretty fair assessment. And maybe Ivanovic benefiting from that goalkeeper error could be that little spark that he needed to try to, regain that form, just a little bit of confidence boost. So it'll be interesting to see there. Millwall don't lose a lot of games, but when they lose, they get thrashed. So it's really interesting
Yeah.
there. Two 4-0 losses, as we know, obviously. On the other side, I thought that Thierry Small had a really good cameo in the second half. It really did look like for a good, 20 minutes to end this game. Either team could have went on and won the game. I think Preston probably created the better chance at the end, but overall, pretty fair result. One.
Yeah, and just one final like kind of thing on this game as well. I mean, either team could come away from that and feel a bit like, okay, yeah, it's a good result, and they're playing a team up in the top six. But realistically now, both teams, if they want to stay in the playoffs, have to go on a decent winning run, and that's something that Millwall haven't. I mean, at many points this season been on. Like, I think that could be a detriment to them, despite only a couple of games ago being up in second, at one stage anyway. It now looks like they're quickly slipping down the table, and it just shows how close things are at the top of the table. Just to look at Millwall's upcoming games, they've got a trip to Portsmouth, Sheffield Wednesday at home, and Southampton as well. So if I'm a Millwall fan, I'm looking at that. I'm thinking that's where the consistent winning run has to come if they want to be a force this season. Because I predicted them to be in the playoffs as well. And despite that reaction that they had after the loss to Coventry, where they went 4 games, they went 4 games back to back to back to back, winning, to 3 games without a win now. So interesting one, Millwall. understand that, Portsmouth could be seen as a little bit of an overachiever, but I don't want to use that word for them, especially because, I mean, like you say, um, previously they're a team that a lot of people predicted to be down in the relegation zone. But with the likes of Thierry Small in your side, they've made so many changes this season. I think really, if you look at the business they did, it was either going to work or it wasn't. And if it wasn't, then it was going to be bad. Thankfully for them, it has worked and they're in a fantastic position. So, yeah, good result for Preston.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the top six is crazy this year. Also, Preston, two things. One, doing this when they were one of the teams expected to go down, and two, now doing it without probably their top two strikers from injury and ban is pretty impressive. So, top six, just to read it out because I don't know if it'll look like this at the end of the year. Coventry, Middlesbrough, Stoke, Preston, Hull, and Millwall. I mean, one third of the way through the season, that's so cool to see. It really is a big morale boost for the championship as a whole because we've seen that the Giants and the Prem run the league every year and it's always the teams that go down have a good chance of going right back up. But this year we're seeing a lot of different teams, so it's just really nice to see.
Yeah. And I mean, I think your cat is agreeing with absolutely everything you're saying as well, Jonah. So
He is
who knows?
killing me right now. I'm so embarrassed. Sorry,
It's
viewers.
okay. Everyone understands that, you can't tell the cat to shut up, can you? Well, you probably could, but I don't
Not
know
on
if,
camera. I can't say it on
yeah,
camera.
don't know if they're going to listen. Anyway, we'll move on to Middlesbrough versus Birmingham City. Great win for Middlesbrough, firstly, despite the business with Rob Edwards, which I think will be the main talking point here. A game where either of us predicted Middlesbrough to win. I went for a 2-2 draw. You thought Birmingham were going to win this game and continue a pretty decent run of form that they're on. I think this just shows, at the end of the day, Birmingham's real quality that, yes, they are a good enough side. However, I don't feel like they're a side that really are a top six side and they're going to be able to beat these big sides. Birmingham now down in 11th. A great result for Middlesbrough now back in them automatic promotion slots. One loss in five. Very similar to the teams around them, the likes of Preston, Hull, and Coventry, only losing one in the past five. Oh, and Millwall as well. So really good win for Middlesbrough. But we'll speak about Rob Edwards though, because I mean, this game had a lot more to talk about than the goals and the fact that Middlesbrough win at home. I mean, I understand that he's gone to Wolves, former Wolves player, Premier League job, a little bit of an impossible one if you look at it. Wolves at this stage of the season with just 2 points yet to win in the Premier League. But it's a Premier League job. It's probably guaranteed more money. Yet he started this project at the start of this season, and now we're 15 league games in. In fact, he only lasted 14 league games, 8 wins, 5 draws, 2 losses. Really good form. Surely he'd have wanted to see the season out and get a promotion under his belt. I know he's had previous promotions in previous jobs, even one out of the Championship with Luton Town. I think this would just be an easier job for him. What do you think on this one, Jonah? Because I mean, he's going to the impossible challenge, it feels like, of bottom of the Premier League. Wolverhampton Wanderers, the only side in the Premier League yet to win this season. Yeah, a strange one, in my opinion, despite being a Wolves, don't want to use the word legend because I think that could be used quite loosely, but a former Wolves player. Let's just say that.
It's a bit peculiar to me because first off, I understand, the being a former Wolves player thing. I mean, we saw Frank Lampard manage Chelsea for a short stint. However, it almost seems like, you're certain to go down with Wolves, but then if you look at what you have with Middlesbrough, you definitely are not, like, Wolves are more likely to go down than Middlesbrough are to go up, but Middlesbrough were in an absolutely unreal position and it could have given him that chance to add another stone to his resume and his CV of getting promoted to the Premier League. They would have had a very good chance this year. The way it was handled was a bit odd to me. I don't know if there's any comparisons that you can make, Alex, since you have, deeper and longer knowledge of the championship than me, but having a press conference, getting it canceled, the team coming out and saying you're not going to be there the day before a game. I mean, international break legitimately was 48 hours from when they first made that announcement. Actually, probably less, maybe closer to 36. Could he have not just done this game and then done it? I mean, he hasn't even been announced Wolves manager officially yet, but now he's cut all ties with Middlesbrough. So it's a it's a very peculiar scenario. Have you ever seen anything similar to it?
I mean, off the top of my head, not really. None that I can say, and there will be some that people probably put out in the comments. But there's none that are going from a job where everything's going right to everything going wrong. If that makes any sense. Um, I mean, obviously, there's been so many peculiar manager changes, and I mean, I just look at Steven Gerrard and the fact that he was offered the Rangers job this year after the sacking of Russell Martin. I feel like we speak about Russell Martin every week, but he turned the job down basically because he said that it wasn't the right fit for him, despite being a former Rangers manager, winning the league with them, saying that they have a big place in his heart. And he said that was because he doesn't feel like it was the right job for him and he couldn't fully commit. Now, if you're a manager and you're second in the championship, doing really, really well, why would you then go on to a team bottom of the Premier League? Like, don't get me wrong, there has been managers that have gone from the Championship to the Premier League and got relegated with a different club. But this one just doesn't make sense to me. If he was offered the West Ham job, a project where, I'm not saying West Ham are bang on relegation, but they're a side that are struggling. Nuno's got them playing a little bit better, but before Nuno came in, it really wasn't looking great under Graham Potter. At that point, Rob Edwards probably wouldn't have been the right appointment, but it would have made a little bit of sense because it's early on in the season. You look at West Ham and think they haven't been in the Championship since 2012. They're an established Premier League side. They've got the experience. You don't have that particularly with Wolves. I know they've been in the Premier League for some time, but realistically, they've sold all their best players season on season. It's going to be a mountain to climb. Really is going to be a mountain to climb. I'm sure people will give me examples in the comments. There's probably even Coventry City examples. Mark Robbins actually leaving Coventry City the first time is a great example. When he went to Huddersfield, it didn't quite work out, and then he went around to several clubs and really made his name at Coventry City. But this could have been another promotion under Rob Edwards' belt. Sadly, for him, it's not going to be. Interested to see who Middlesbrough come in. A lot of talk around Gareth Southgate, former England manager. I don't particularly think that's going to happen, to be honest. Be interested if I'm proven wrong for him to take a championship job, despite reaching two European finals in a row and World Cup semi-final 2018. I think quarterfinals, but I mean, we lost to a generational France side. So realistically, him to get a championship job, I'm not too sure. Interested to see who Middlesbrough bring in. A 2-1 win still for them. We'll move on to Norwich versus Leicester now. The Canaries and their manager, and still in the relegation zone. I just feel like every single week, and I don't want to say this, they're still yet to win at home, but every single week, the things I said, at the start of the season, especially about Norwich and Sheffield United, are just looking worse and worse and worse. 15 games into the season, Norwich 23rd with 9 points, 4 out of 5 losses now. It just isn't getting any better. And this was against a Leicester side who are well out of form. I don't want to underestimate Leicester, but a 92nd minute winner from Jordan James secures 3 points at Carrow Road for the Foxes. Your thoughts on this, Jonah? Because I don't see things getting any better for Norwich City.
First thing I'll say about this game was the first two goals were absolute bangers, by the way. Another comeback here. So Norwich City go up first early in the second half. Matthias Kvistgarten, 2 goals and 2 for him. He's starting to come around. Maybe a little bit of a bright spot for the team, a little positive as he was one of their big investments from the summer. A little deflection, volley from outside the box. They go up 1-0. All is fine and well. Then Reed from Leicester City comes off the bench and he also scores a nice volley. Now, I think this just shows the lack of confidence from Norwich. Obviously, by the way, should mention Liam Manning was sacked after this game. No press conference, no anything. Clearly, I think the decision was either already made or it was going to be made if they did not win this game, which obviously they didn't. The goal that James scored at the end, wide open header in the box. How do you get wide open in the box in stoppage time of a game that your team needs to win? Really poor from them. I think it just goes to show the form on the season. It's just hasn't been good enough. I mean, week in and week out, we talk about teams like Norwich City, Sheffield United. They are gonna boom their way back up the table. Like the teams that are expected to get relegated are sitting out of the zone, but just time and time again, they're just showing why they are where they are. We'll talk about Sheffield United more, but the locker room seems to have just been lost at Norwich City. I know people are putting pressure on the sporting director as well. Very tough decisions all around, but ultimately they did what needed to be done. So that's, two managers in 2 years. Now they'll be looking for another one this international break. It's the right time to do it. Give yourselves a couple days to train. But really just a nightmare there. Josh Sargent hasn't scored in potentially maybe going on 2 months now. Just really not looking good for them.
Yeah, and I mean, my next question was actually going to be about Liam Manning, but I think I'll quickly brush over this because obviously you've just spoken about it. I just feel like if I'm Liam Manning, because in fact Liam Manning is the example of someone that's gone from a promotion contender to a out and out relegation contender because he left Bristol City last season and he's taken a job where he probably hasn't had the best recruitment. Yes, he's held on to Josh Sargent, but he's still lost the likes of Boya Signs, Nunes, even Angus Gunn, who particularly was never a consistent full choice, but a solid championship goalkeeper that I never understood why they got rid of him on a free after the period he'd been at the club. And there was many other players as well, many even just squad players that they could have kept around that would have improved this side. They just never reinvested the Boya Signs money correctly. And I think that is a massive blow for them. They're sure there's some sort of ownership problem as well there. But if I'm Liam Manning, taking that job over the Bristol City job, even if it is for more money, it's just baffling, really, really baffling because what he was building at Ashton Gate was massive. And, if Bristol City do, and again, I think Bristol City are a club where what I'm going to say now, it could be in the next 10 years, 20 years, even 25 years, but eventually they'll get to the Premier League because the way the club is ran is really, really good. The stadium's already there, the facilities are there, the training ground. They've got a pretty successful women's team as well. So they've got the structure around the club to be big enough to be in the Premier League. I think it's just more of a waiting game on that, getting better and better season on season, maybe go up through the playoffs one year. And, I mean, last year they were battered in the semi final, but I think they're a club that will take that on the chin a little bit and say, right, we've got to build on what we've done. So yeah, we both saw Norwich not even scoring in this game, so they at least proved us wrong with they took the lead in the game. In fact, a comeback from Leicester City, but yeah, interesting stuff at Carrow Road. I think we'll move on, and that's another club that we'll have to speak about new managers. Maybe in the next episode, it could be a new manager special, because again, two managers departing this weekend. So yeah, I mean, it seems like everyone's getting new managers. The only ones really holding on to managers are the ones I don't even actually want to say the ones doing well because the second best club in the league, statistically in Middlesbrough, have just lost Rob Edwards. Sheffield United nil, QPR nil next. A game that seems to be dominated by Sheffield United possession wise, shots wise, yet still struggling. Queen's Park Rangers are not in the best of form. They are like, it seems like they just hate kind of what's the word? Like I was going to say they hate to draw, but they drew this game. They're either winning loads or losing loads. They've had a really strange season because I'm sure when we started this podcast just 6 episodes ago, we were speaking about QPR as a silent promotion contender. They're now down in 16th in the table, just 9 points off the drop. Sheffield United, a solid point for them. They needed it. They're going into the derby. in the next game week, which is a massive, massive game for both clubs. Sheffield United will want to turn things around with 3 points at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday will want to win that game, not just for the bragging rights of the city, but to go up to -1. But I mean, for Sheffield United, I think it's a good point. I mean, at any point in the season, it's a really good point. Chris Wilder really doesn't seem to be turning anything around at Sheffield United, though. Still 3 losses in the past 5. They have the quality in the squad. Something just isn't clicking. Yeah, I mean, not too much to speak about from this game. Probably a result that we both expected. Um, I mean, despite us both, I mean, I predicted the Sheffield United win here. You predicted a 1-1 draw. But yeah, I think both teams need to wake up after this international break. What's your thoughts really overall on this one, Jonah?
Sheffield United, man, just it's really just insane. It's them and Norwich City, just crazy that they haven't turned it around yet. Looks like Chris Wilder's having a tough time figuring out that attack. Tyrese Campbell's been underperforming massively this year. They have been they've been switching back and forth
I,
between
I was just doing my Tyrese Campbell
I was so
celebration
confused.
impression. He,
Actually,
yeah,
but
he did that in front of the Coventry fans, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if I ever meet Tyrese Campbell, I'll just do a bit of that. Sorry, carry on.
That's actually funny that you mentioned that because when I reacted to the last time that Sheffield United played Cov, he had scored in that game and he did like a gun shoot and then holster the gun celebration, and I remember pausing the video and being like, "That's just hilarious," because he's been miles off it this year as
One
Sheffield United.
season wonder is Tyrese Campbell, because I mean Stoke fans never rated him. So
Yeah, I mean, I believe either did he score the goal for Sheffield United at Wembley or did he score the offside goal? I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I'm
But
really
either
not
way,
sure, to be honest.
he put the ball in the back of the net at Wembley. Callum O'Hare, another little bit of a bright spot for them, despite our feelings about him leaving Coventry. He's been pretty crafty with what he's been dealt. They keep switching between Tom Cannon and Danny Ings at the striker. Chris Wilder is just trying to find that attacking presence that makes the most sense. Defensively wise, they've got Ben Mee, Tanganga pretty set in the starting lineup. Michael Cooper was back from injury. I know that he came off midweek against Coventry. Didn't seem too serious, but I mean, just not getting results. QPR on the other side, similar thing right here. Similar to Swansea, they just slowly are creeping down and down and down the table. 3 losses in their last 5 games, as you mentioned. So really would like to see more there, but stalwart game. Neither team is really satisfied. I mean, maybe Sheffield United take a point based on where they are on the table, but they really, really need to win that derby against Wednesday, or else it genuinely could turn into chaos there. I really don't even know what
Yeah,
would happen if they go and they lose that game.
yeah. I mean, that's a huge game, not just for the fact that it is a derby, but for where they both are in the table. I don't remember a time, at least in the last 10 years, where both of them have been in a similar position. I know they've both had stints in League One, Sheffield United in the Premier League, but I don't remember a time where they've both been just two spaces between each other. Come November, it's either Sheffield United are doing really well, Sheffield Wednesday mid-table, kind of relegation contenders. There's never really been a time where they've been next to each other in the table. I feel like I'm sure someone will let us know some sort of stat from 2005, '06 or something. Who knows? Actually, I'm pretty sure Sheffield United were in the Premier League that season, so not a good example. But anyway, yeah, a 0-0 draw. I think it's a good point for both teams. Should we move on to Swansea, because Alan Sheehan seems to be under a little bit of pressure um, now. And to be honest, they've kind of gone under a radar, Swansea. They're a side that I've said I don't really know what to make of them. But based off this performance off Ipswich, and I mean, I've said a lot about how I do think Ipswich are going far this season and how well they've done. But there doesn't seem to be a single player on the pitch for Ipswich who any supporter can have a complaint about. And I mean, other than Franco in the midfield who scores the goal, is there much positives for Swansea to take? Two own goals from Cameron Burgess in the back line helps Ipswich out really, really well. I'm sure he scored more goals than some attackers in the Sheffield United team this season. So I mean, a 4-1 win for Ipswich. Is that back to back 4-1 wins? No, well, they drew against Watford, but um, I mean, 2 4-1 wins in 3 games is crazy. Unbeaten in four now, Ipswich Town, and Jack Clark gets the opener. Not too many chances throughout the game either. Like it does seem quite an even game, but Ipswich are just ruthless. And realistically, it's a fantastic result for Ipswich. Like I've said all season, I genuinely think it will be Coventry and Ipswich in the top two. Ipswich now up to seventh, seems to be climbing up the table. The only thing that's really hassling them is they drew a lot at the start of the season that I think if you're turning losses into draws, it's fine. You're not losing games. If you're, for example, a Sheffield United who are losing a lot of games, that's going to be a detriment. You know, if they'd have drew 5 more games, they'd be in a much better position now, Sheffield, than, kind of where they are at the moment. As for Swansea, I mean, they're 18th in the table, 17 points, um, 6 losses and just one win in five. Yeah, I mean, things are just getting worse and worse and worse. This is a club that had a lot of ambition going into the season as well. The likes of Snoop Dogg, Luka Modric, all the other people involved in the club. And now it just seems like they're not performing at their best, Swansea City. What were your thoughts on this one?
Well, you know what meme coins are, like the crypto coins where like the big name
Yeah.
people like to do like rug pulls and things. Kind of feel bad for Snoop Dogg because I feel like this is turning into a meme coin for him because his money is slowly disappearing. But no, on a serious note, at least Cameron Burgess stuck the ball in the net twice, even though,
Yeah.
he doesn't play for Ipswich anymore.
Exactly. And
So,
just another thing as well. You speak about the meme coin. I'm sure Snoop Dogg will be fuming how much of his money is going to be going on Swansea's fines from them yellow cards. There was 4 in the first 35 minutes. Like, what is going on there? I'm not sure what's happened. They only had 5 bookings overall, but I mean, 4 yellow cards first 35 minutes, 2 own goals to get back against anyone in this division. I know I've said Ipswich are going far this season. They're second in the table and they're doing really well. Well, they're not second in the table, but I'm saying they'll be second in the table. Okay, I'm saying that they will be. I can already see at the end of the season, Coventry City top, a little C next to them, and then Ipswich with a P next to them in second. Yeah, there's the prediction. We'll get more
yes,
predictions later on in the season, but I'm
clip
sticking
that.
by that.
Everyone clip that. And if it's wrong,
Yeah,
blame Alex. But I
there you
think we're
go.
seeing what we've been waiting for come to fruition with Ipswich. At one point earlier in the season, they were 16th. One or two episodes ago, they were 12th. Now they're 7th. They're just a couple points outside the playoffs. Um, Jack Clark has been really good. He's been a insanely good super sub. He got the nod to start today in place of Philogene. Jack Clark went out, got man of the match. I had mentioned in our prediction show last time, I like Marcelino Nunez at the 10, someone that can create more instead of just whacking, your best players in there like Chuba Akpom. He was lining up as the number 10 for the game that they drew against Watford. Kieran McKenna probably clocked that and was able to switch back. Um, but they're just coming along as you would expect. And the longer that we can go with Ipswich not being in the top is good because the thing that's going to lift them through, other than just the sheer money and quality of the team is the fact that, they can bring on from the bench Chuba Akpom, Jaden Philogene, Jens Kahuse. Like, they just have such a deep team, and you would honestly expect them to be adding no matter where they are in the table in January. I mean, realistically here, you probably see Ipswich in the playoff come next international break, 11 games. I wouldn't be shocked to see them already back up in second. So I think we're going to start to see a team like them boom up the table. And another team that I think we can agree on is going to start booming up the table, Southampton. So we just were slightly off on this one. We said a 3-0 win. We both were equal on that prediction. It was a 3-1 victory. I mean, did we expect anything else against Southampton against Sheffield Wednesday? That new manager boost. We saw it with Adi Vivish managing Middlesbrough against Birmingham City. Maybe we'll see it with Norwich City out of the break. They go on, they score 3 goals. It was a scrappy game, I thought. Sheffield Wednesday actually had a couple good chances, in my opinion. They may have been able to squeak a point out if, maybe one or two things go a different way. But Southampton deserved to win this game. Couple players will shout out Adam Armstrong after missing so many chances this year. Got back on the goal sheet. Finazaz has 1 goal, 1 assist this year. They both came in the last 2 games. So confidence starting to come back there. Tom Fellows, he transferred there this year, playing as sort of a right wing back. Really active down that right hand side, putting good balls in the box, can dribble. Think we're going to start to see them boom up the table. I know they don't have a new manager yet, but whatever they're doing right now just seems loose. They don't seem as tense and nervous as they did earlier in the year. And let's see, are they still in the 20s or did they creep up? Surely they crept up. Yeah, they're already up to 17th now. I mean, they're 8 points off the playoffs. Like, I would not be surprised to see them start their surge. And maybe it's coming at the right time because the 11 game stretch is coming up in 2 weeks. Make or break for literally every single team. I mean, we'll be at what? What's 15 plus 11? 26. We'll be more than 50% through the season when that happens. Do you forecast them booming up the table?
I'd like to think so, with just the experience that they have in the squad and the good players that they've got. Perfect time to play Sheffield Wednesday. Absolutely perfect time because we know how poor they've been, and realistically, Southampton are at home as well. They have to win this game, and it's exactly what they did. Perfect time to play Sheffield Wednesday, and it's now a perfect time to turn the season round. Because if they don't turn it round in the next few games, then they're probably going to be way off here. Playoffs come the end of the season, so absolutely massive for them. Huge win, and for Sheffield Wednesday, things don't seem to be getting much better. However, I mean, they would have looked at this game as one they probably could have got something out of from how Southampton have been, and they've got a little bit unlucky that this game didn't come maybe a month ago when Southampton were in horrid form. Anyway, moving away from two sides that have been around the relegation zone this season, one's moving away to one side that I think I want to start with. I want to start with this because I predicted Oxford to win this game. And I've predicted on this podcast that Oxford will get relegated this season. I've also said on my own channel at the start of the season, Oxford will be fine. They're just 3 points out the drop zone now. Sheffield United's poor form, along with Norwich, is really what's keeping them in there. No wins in three, just one in five. And Sheffield Wednesday being that one game that they won. I thought, and I mean, I looked at this game. I thought Oxford are going to win it. I just went Oxford are going to win. West Brom haven't been excellent recently. They've struggled to score against Sheffield Wednesday. They probably looked at that as a game they were easily going to win. The 2 games before that Sheffield Wednesday game, they'd lost, and they lost against Charlton as well in that 96th minute game that you saw coming from a million miles away. Um, but a huge win for West Brom. They've now got Coventry next, which I think is going to be tough for them. Despite obviously winning in this game, it's not an unbelievable result. It took an own goal and a goal with 20 minutes to go to give them the 3 points here. They don't, seem to be in great form, but who knows? A little rebound after the international break could be interesting. But I'm sure we'll speak about West Brom a lot more in a future episode. Oxford, though, yeah, things don't seem to be getting much better. And I think all it's going to take is one of them teams in Norwich or Sheffield United to win a couple of games, and Oxford are pretty much down and out, it feels like.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Oxford. It's looking like an uphill battle each and every day. But I don't really want to harp on it. I think it's something that, we've spent a lot of time talking about, and you just hope for the best for them, and, maybe they can squeak it out. But on the other side, West Brom, first off, I'd say their manager's job is saved for a little bit. I thought they actually looked pretty good in this game. Mikey Johnston down the left hand side, he put in the ball that led to the own goal. He, looked confident on the ball. Isaac Price as well. Huge statement win for them, despite it being against Oxford. I think when you're in a slide like that and, your manager's getting asked those uncomfortable questions, you really just need a victory no matter who it's against, whether it's Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United, Oxford, anyone. So big win for them, definitely. And obviously tough match against Coventry coming out. That's the game at the CBS that, all the price discrepancies were discussed with. So we'll see if they come out firing there. Do you remember over the summer Mikey Johnston was going to get sold to Brazil? Did you see that rumor ever?
No, I don't think I did, to be
Yeah,
honest.
there was a rumor that he was going to Brazil, and then the fans were outraged, and then he ended up staying. So good on him. He had a really good performance today. Didn't get man of the match, but positive signs.
Anyway, a big win for Wrexham against Nathan Jones's Charlton this week to move on to that, the final game before we speak about the top of the table clash, the game of the week. I would definitely say, well, beforehand anyway, it wasn't the most pretty one. A huge win for Wrexham, who have been pretty decent as of late. We saw in that Coventry game they were really, really good. Didn't find the back of the net against Pompey, but we came back to winning ways with a win over a Charlton side who a lot of people have been saying are overperforming. Are we looking at a Wrexham side that maybe will push for playoffs as well? I know they were in contention. I said I was confident for them. I said at the start of the season they'll finish 10th. It'll be the highest ever finish in English football. But Wrexham maybe a little sneaky playoff pushing team as well. Just one loss in five. They played the top two sides in that time, picking up 4 points from them games. Yes, they're down in 13th, but that could be used for the fact that they had a little bit of a slow start, brought in a couple of players after the opening fixtures. I think it's a pretty decent start for Wrexham against a Charlton side who have been in and around the playoffs as well.
Yeah, they deserve to win the game today, XG wise, possession wise. They were in charge. They created the better chances, in my opinion. Bit unlucky for that penalty to be drawn. It was a lofted cross into the box, and Charlton defender was alone, and I guess he shouldered it, and the ref, with no hesitation, called it. I guess you could say it was coming, as they deserved it. We both predicted. Did you predict a Wrexham win? I know I did. I predicted 3-1. Obviously, didn't
I
get close to
I
that.
went I went for a 2-1 Wrexham, you went for a 3-1. So we both saw Wrexham at least winning this game.
Yeah, so that we at least got that right. Charlton are a little injured as well. So Charlie Kellman was out. I know he only had just gotten his first championship goal a couple weeks back, but they had to start an 18-year-old up top, and going on the road to Wrexham, the race course is a pretty stout, pretty tough place to go. They couldn't do too much this game. Well deserved point by Wrexham, but I think we're getting to the point where we could see them pushing top half of the table. Playoff is going to be tough, but never say never with, the form and the runs that Kiefer Moore and Josh Windass can do, the link up play between them, just the sheer power that they have and the power of the documentary. I mean, you never know, man. We'll see in a couple months' time.
Yeah, the power of the documentary. I can't wait to watch that back and yeah, watch them beat Coventry again. I'll never forget watching the documentary. I think it's a couple of seasons ago we played in the FA Cup and they go to Coventry wearing the FA Cup and there was that map. There was that map and Coventry was nowhere near Coventry and they had like a crazy map. And it was as if I was to give you, Jonah, a map of England and go, right, where do you think everywhere is? I'd hope you get Coventry at least kind of right. Like, but it was terrible, honestly. And I mean, if I don't know if you've watched the documentary or not, but you might not have even noticed. There was like I'll have to have a look quickly. But like there was clubs absolutely nowhere near like uh documentary map.
Was it supposed to be
Yeah.
correct?
I don't know, but surely it should because I mean, you've got Brentford up like near Scotland. Brentford are a London club who are like you've got Blackburn Rovers more north than Newcastle. It's as if Brentford is a Newcastle spot. I mean, Blackburn, they're in like Carlisle spot. You've got Rochdale in Wales. Rochdale is a good team in Greater Manchester. You've got Shrewsbury in Wales, who are kind of in this part of England that are like 10 miles out of Wales and don't like the fact that people say that they're Welsh. They've just put them in Wales. But Swansea and Cardiff are both in England, around like Exeter and I don't know. Yeah, that map, it just annoyed me. I remember pausing it thinking this is crazy. I mean, Coventry's not actually that bad in a position. And they've made our badge quite big as well, so I'm not going to
That
complain
could be
about
rage
that.
bait.
Everton are in Wales. You've got Liverpool, then you've got Wrexham in between Liverpool and Everton, despite at the time Liverpool and Everton playing less than a mile away from each other.
Oh my god.
Crazy.
That has
Anyway,
to be rage bait.
It has to be, but this was on Disney Plus. It's Disney.
I'm dead.
Oh, anyway,
Yeah, let's
we'll
let's
move on
talk
from
Coventry.
Wrexham. We'll move on from Wrexham and their documentary and speak about what we actually really want to speak about. Coventry City won. Stoke City won. Coventry City nil. Stoke obviously hosting this game. Coventry
Wait, what?
travelling
Wait,
on the
hang on,
road.
Alex. What are you
Whoa,
saying? We
whoa.
won. You said Stoke City won.
Oh, I'm right. Listen.
Too many beers
Oh,
at the on the away day yesterday, huh?
I think if you watch the video, maybe too many beers. I'm trying to be professional here.
It's
Stoke
a
City nil, Coventry City one. F from Mason Clark with the winner. I was quite negative. I got a lot of I've got a lot of stick for this. And I'd want to read the comments out, but I'd just be scrolling for ages of people saying I'm too negative about Milan's throws. Well, they didn't used to work. Milan's throws didn't used to work, but they're actually working now,
Mhm.
thankfully. The first time it ever worked was actually against Stoke last season at the CBS. Mason Clark with an unbelievable overhead kick. He did get a concussion from it. Hopefully, that's not too bad. I'm not sure what the protocol is on that or how long you're out with a concussion. I'd hope it's not. I hope he's back before the international break, basically. But that's the difference. And I made a lot of comments about being a quite boring game, and people were disagreeing with me, saying it was two defensive masterclasses. And I could see that from what I was watching. Stoke sat back really well, held us off. We're playing against statistically the best defence in the league. They'd only conceded 9 goals up until that point. And we didn't really have that many chances. But I think that's exactly what makes it a on-table, boring game. Either team didn't really have many chances to threaten either goalkeeper. But when Mason Clark finds the back of the net, I felt like at that point it was, despite knowing that we'd have a little bit of time added on, plus having a couple of minutes left before added time, I felt like that was the decisive goal in the game because it didn't feel like there was much more coming, if you know what I mean. I predicted a 1-1, you predicted a 0-0. Either of us confident and both of us happy that we've won. What were your thoughts on it, Jonah? For Stoke nil, Coventry won. Just to let everyone know, Coventry won the game.
Yes,
Okay?
if you didn't know, because obviously it was everywhere. Coventry won this game. EMC, beautiful bicycle kick. He had posted a little funny clip of a guy saying "Ow, my head hurts" on Instagram. So I think he's gonna be fine. Also, being an America NFL fan, concussions are a week max, maybe a little bit longer in football because they're not as common. But I think he'll be back. He'll recover fine. I'm sure we would have heard by now. He probably got his his CT scans and whatnot, but was prayers up for him. Obviously, it's always scary to see a player get stretchered off. Game wise, Stoke, I would say, were a little bit dangerous in the first half. Some of their chances, some of their early crosses from Sorba Thomas, some of their set pieces definitely bumped my heart rate a little bit, I will say. I think the defense of Coventry did a great job in the second half, kind of limiting them. I did not feel as threatened in the second half as the first. I will say I felt more nervy in the final 15 minutes or maybe the final 5 minutes against Sheffield United than I did against Stoke.
100%.
And obviously, that's not me saying that Stokes' attack is not as good as Sheffield United. It's just the way that, our defense shut them down in the second half. It just didn't feel as nerve wracking. I mean, there was 11 minutes of added time. It ended up being about 14 because of one, Victor Johansson getting injured 6 times, and two, EMC going down. But overall, just a gutsy win. I really
Mm.
love the lineup. I could see the game I could see the outcome of the game being different if Frank didn't play that very progressive and attacking lineup. I was watching it. Wish I could shout him out, but I had never seen this channel before. And someone will probably know in the comments, but it was posted a day ago. It had like 50K views, so it's a very big football channel. And he was just discussing why Coventry are so good. And the reason that they're so good and they score so many goals, and it's not like some groundbreaking new tactic like Pep bringing in possession based football. It's just the fact that everything they do is forward. So even if, it's a tight pocket or every player is covered, whoever is on the ball, specifically Matty Grimes, he's always just going to move the ball forward. So you're consistently compressing the defense and breaking them down slowly and slowly. And that's not sideways and back. It is progressive movements and just consistent press and attack and winning the ball back in the final third. And that's just something that they've perfected this season. I want to come on the record here too, because in my watch along, I was actually getting a little bit frustrated because people were calling for Haji Wright to be sold, dropped, this and that. I will say, I'll be the first one to come out and say it. I absolutely agree. He should have been hooked in that game. Ellis Sims came in, he headed that ball onto EMC. But to call for him to be sold, to me, is absolutely outrageous. Say what you want if you want to drop him. He has a better goal to game than Victor Gyökeres. Yes, he goes through spans of good, spans of bad. I mean, earlier this season, he was the best player in the championship. He was running away with the Golden Boot. Then you see the surge of BTA. BTA hasn't even been that good either. I don't hear a word about BTA. I just don't understand the criticism that Haji gets. I don't know if it stems from the playoffs, but when Ellis Sims comes on the pitch, he can do no wrong in the eyes of the Coventry fans. And to me, I'm not saying that Ellis Sims is not good. What I'm saying is it just seems like there's a very odd dynamic between the two where if Haji misses a step, he's the worst player in the world. And if Sims puts one good through ball in and gets an assist, he should be in the starting lineup and he should be dropped. So I just want to hear your thoughts on it because I opened it up to my comments and I've been going, not arguing with people, just having genuine
Mm.
conversations because I don't hate Ellis Sims. I think Ellis Sims is a good footballer, but I think Haji Wright is miles better. Maybe yesterday he deserved to be dropped. I agree with that. But just
Mm.
overall, I just want to hear your thoughts on it because
I think
you
I
have
think
been
your
around
opinion
longer.
is yeah, I think your opinion is pretty much the same. And you saying that Ellis Sims can't do no wrong, I actually think it's the complete opposite. I mean, I've been at games where Ellis Sims has got absolute pelters from supporters.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, rightly so in some cases, because it just hasn't been up to standard. I think he's improved slightly this season, but I think the whole team has. I think this is the best that we've seen of Brandon Thomas Asante. It's the best Brandon Thomas Asante, I'd say, version of Brandon Thomas Asante he's had in his career. And this is going back to when he was at Salford. So I think he's in a fantastic run of form. And I mean, for Hadji, right, there are games where you just see he's not at it. He comes across as quite lazy.
Mm.
He's maybe not pressing as much as, say, a Brandon Thomas Asante or a Ellie Sims. I think there's a kind of section in the support that just want a player that tries. And we've had generations of players where, we might not be particularly good, but we'll have two or three players that will really, really give it a go. And that's good enough for the supporters. And I think that's all they really want from a player. Hadji isn't that player. He's not at all. And he's more of a right place at the right time or the bits of quality that he has in his game. He's not going to give you 80 minutes of running around the pitch. The best example I can give that Cov fans will think of is a Liam Kelly sort of player or a Jim O'Brien. And, I mean, even Brandon Thomas Asante at times can be like that, but not to that extent, really. I think Victor Torp's a good example, a player that just doesn't stop. He's not particularly lazy. And he does a lot in his game that, he's involved quite a lot throughout the game. Um, but Hadji just doesn't seem to have that instinct in him, which is fine. That's his game and whatever. I don't expect him to be running around for 90 minutes and be absolutely blowing at full time. So, it just wasn't his game. I think it was exactly the same at Wrexham. It just wasn't a game for Hadji Wright. He was pinning his man quite a lot and it just wasn't working at the end of the day. So yeah, I mean, I think Hadji is a player we have to keep. If he does leave, then he should be sold for at least a good fee to a club that will pay a good fee. Saying he should be sold, I could sit here and say insert players should be sold to Colchester United in League Two. It's not that situation. It's more of a if he is sold, he'll go to I don't want to say a bigger club, but a better team on paper for
Yeah.
more money. But yeah, I mean, just to wrap it up, a great result for the Sky Blues going into an international break, top of the table after 15 games, 10 wins, 4 draws, and 1 loss. Yet to lose in England as well, by the way. Just want to
Like
put that
that.
out there. So 34 points on the board. West Brom at home next, the side we faced in April and beat. There's still a team that I look at. I think, oh, it's going to be a tough game. West Brom could be bottom of the table, and they're that sort of team that because we don't have the best record against them. I always look at and go, could be a bit of a tough game. But I'm excited for that. I'm sure we'll preview that in our next upcoming episodes. But any final words, Jonah, before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I guess I'll just quickly sum up the game because I obviously got a little bit heated about my Haji Wright stuff because I was had a long day with it yesterday, but it was a great win by Cov. I'm really happy with the result. EMC's finish was brilliant. Milan long throws, you actually mentioned that they're actually working, which is kind of
They
crazy,
are.
but they always come off of the bounce. I feel like so whatever the method is, just keep doing it. I mean, couldn't be happier with the form. We could definitely probably sit down and do a Coventry episode this
Yeah.
international break if you guys want that, let us know. But
I think
just
sorry about the long throws. I think a big thing is we're just betting on that second ball a lot of the time.
yeah.
And it's I know I'm speaking about my video specifically here. About 10 times yesterday, I said the words, "Here comes a Milan throw." I zoom into the box. It's come off Ben Wilmot's head. Oh, it's hit Stokes' head. Do you know when you've done it 10 times,
Yeah.
you are expecting, and it's probably the third clip I have of me going that there's so many clips I don't use the video. Me going, this is going to hit a Stoke head, or the keeper's going to hit it out, and it hit a Stoke head. It did. I didn't then say what would happen after.
Yeah.
I actually have just got a comment now on YouTube. It says you have to stop moaning about the monster throw-ins.
Oh my god.
That's literally just come up on the notifications. I'm sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
It was a laugh for over a year and a half. And now he's actually doing okay. Mark Robbins, by the way, I didn't say this, but Mark Robbins didn't want him doing the throw-ins.
Oh yeah.
Mark
No
Robbins
way.
stopped him doing them. So it's working. I'm glad that it's worked against Mark Robbins twice now. So there you
Yeah.
go.
You know what, man? Before we wrap it up, I'll just say, like, we were talking about this before the episode started. Just with all the Coventry success, we've obviously seen our individual channels kind of grow, like, at pretty unprecedented rates. But with that, also becomes people that, one, are going to come in and hate. That's just a part of being on the internet. But two,
Mm.
also people that don't really know about your running jokes. Like, I remember at
Yeah.
the beginning of the season, you'll say, oh, here we go, another Milan throw in. But then in the last month or two they started working, so it's just like
Yeah.
become a meme now, so
Yeah,
don't take it
hundred
too
percent.
seriously.
And do you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, like, the only hate that I'll ever take as genuine hate is anything like offensive. Do you know what I mean? I think there's always got to be some sort of constructive criticism, not just towards my videos, but this podcast and everything that we both do. So if anyone's got any suggestions, any criticism, not don't be too harsh. Don't say, Alex, you don't know anything about football, and Joni, your cat's too loud and stuff like that. But and just to shout out quickly, because you were on about the Adam Cleary football channel. That's what you're on about.
Yes,
The Frank Lampard video. Yeah, just to
yes,
shout him out as well,
brilliant, brilliant
because
video.
he does some great content, but I don't actually know him from football. He used to be a host doing very similar content, speaking about like WWE.
Oh yeah,
So this was the first time I've come across his football channel and was really confused. It
that's
was
crazy.
yeah. But
Great
yeah,
video, yeah.
great video.
All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up there. My cat obviously wanted to leave one more little remark. um Thank you guys for listening. My cat is not being starved, he's just fat, hence my name, Joner Fat Cat. Thanks a lot.
I heard it.
Oh my god,
Oh,
this is so embarrassing.
well,
Alex, take us out, man.
maybe Jonah's cat is just really happy that Coventry are sat top of the championship. Come the third international break of the season. I mean, against the side that have scored 10 goals in their previous four matches going into it, Coventry, who had scored 12 anyway. Um, but fantastic for the Sky Blues, absolutely fantastic. And to speak about the rest of the table, because obviously we've got an international break now, we will do another episode before the next games predicting the upcoming fixtures. But a solid top six. All six of them sides were in the championship last season. And we look at the bottom three, all three of them were in the championship last season. So we've got sides in the Premier League last season who were underperforming, sides in League One last season, slightly overperforming, or even in some cases underperforming because Blues were going to win the league. Remember, if you remember, they were going to, walk the league. Kyogo's unbelievable. Yeah, he's their best player, at least on the bench. But fantastic that the Sky Blues are sat top of the league. Thank you all very much for watching this episode. If you have enjoyed, like I say, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I promise I will stop moaning about Milan's throws if you do. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.